Welcome. This is a brief example of Tom Thresher leading the Immunity to Change process for board members of his church. We are focusing on our collective goals, competing commitments, and assumptions as they pertain to the church. My good friend Jim Silva has just guided us through a visioning process to bring clarity to our core commitments and goals for the church. Our column 1 goal, or noble commitment, is a journey of spiritual growth as individuals and in community with God. I pick up the process with column 2. What are we doing or not doing instead? So what are we collectively doing or avoiding doing or not getting done that is somehow keeping us from living up to this first column? We don't share it.
Share our good news.
I think we did.
We share less than we could. How is that? What we're doing with this, we're not going to fix anything. You hear me saying this over and over. Our tendency is to want to fix it. But we're really much more in a research mode where we're looking for things here that will lead us more deeply into places that our minds don't want to go. Okay, I think this is enough for us to work with and actually start to move to column 3. You jump in here. If column 1 is the heaven we'd like to create, then column 3 is the hell we would like to avoid. These are our competing commitments. Okay, so let's pick one of these because this is where the process really gets much more dynamic. Column 3, our competing commitments. The first piece is what we call the worry box. And what I'm going to ask you to do individually is imagine doing the opposite. Instead of avoiding sharing, that we're going to actually go out and actively share what we do here. What kind of fears or anxieties come up around that? So take a minute and do it individually. Okay, so I'll ask questions that if you can't answer. Okay.
Stepping on toes.
Stepping on toes. Carrie.
Rejection.
Rejection. I'm going to be and checking you with your anxieties. Do we have some collective commitments as a group here that protect us, both individually and collectively? And we say, I'm not going out there to invite anybody in because I'm committed. It's going to protect me. It's going to protect my community. So we may also be committed to what? Not being embarrassed in front of our friends?
Yeah,
or
that's right. Yeah.
Would that capture?
Or not hyping something up and have it go, ooh.
Okay.
But it wouldn't necessarily be you, it might be.
So one of the characteristics of a competing commitment is we might not stand up and say, I'm really proud about this. You know, I'm not really proud about being committed to seeming normal or whatever. So I might stand up though, and we've come to a point here where it's very, we have a big insight that we can share together. This is where the dynamic immunity to change shows up can show up in our congregation. If we are committed to keeping the status quo that keeps us comfortable and not changing, and et cetera, then the strategy here of sharing, not sharing what we have or avoiding it, is a perfectly brilliant strategy that is, if you will, right here in direct conflict with our column 1 commitment to being a community of individuals on individual and community growth with God. Do you see what I'm saying here? These are just in pushing back and forth with each other. And as with our individual commitments, we might move over this way a little bit, then our collective anxiety starts to kick in and say, no, we got to draw back. This happened.
On a roll.
This happened.
Where you guys are.
On a roll. Column 4
Literally on a
are our
roll.
big assumptions. Yes. Underlying these commitments, typically, are assumptions that we hold as a community about what might happen if we did things, how the world might be dangerous, what would happen to us, for example, if we disrupted the status quo, or if we,
Didn't seem normal.
if we didn't seem normal in the world. This is when I can.
probably
So
try to
what we're
say
looking
something.
for, and the process we'll use to do this,
Yes.
is to go into those collective big assumptions. And the nature of a big assumption, there are two things. One, they're typically invisible to us. You heard me say this on Sunday as well. It's the lenses we're looking through. So we don't see the lenses we're looking through, just like we don't normally see our glasses that we're looking through. There's that, and the consequences tend to be dire. They tend to be catastrophic. If it